order. We're going to call the order reinvestment zone number 16, City of Houston meeting. Let me ask the board members on Zoom to please identify themselves. Robert.
Can't hear you very well, but it's Robert Clay, if that's what you were asking.
Thank you very much. That worked great. Any members of the public on Zoom, please identify yourselves.
Jefferson. I have two others.
Well, Jefferson is here, but I'm not a member of the public.
Oh, you kind of are, but you're right. You're more than merely a member of the public. I didn't see you there. I missed it. Oh, there.
Dual capacity. More than
Because it doesn't have your name. It has somebody else's name under there.
Okay, we're good.
We're good. Thank you, Judson.
that.
No other members on Zoom.
This is Margaret Dunlap with Metro.
Thank you. Parnell?
Parnell Emanuel, ABHR.
Wonderful. Okay. Anybody else?
Also, Yewan Lee. I'm just like a student from Rice.
You are a student from Rice, or you're like a student from Rice?
I am a student from Rice.
Welcome. We're pleased to have you.
Yeah, thanks for your interest.
Okay.
I'm Natalie Diaz. I'm a student from Rice as well.
Okay. Wonderful.
This may
Thank
be
you.
getting too smart for us.
This is, well, I'm sure you can contribute. That's wonderful. We do have some rules, however, for the Zoom participants, which is please keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking, and state your name before you speak if you are speaking. Okay. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the December 8th, 2021 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you. Second, Dot. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Okay. We'll now suspend reinvestment zone number 16, City of Houston, Texas, and we will now call to order the Uptown Development Authority meeting. Again, let's go through board members present on Zoom, please.
Robert Clay.
Thank you. Judson, you were muted, but we saw you. Yes. Thank you.
Judson Robinson.
Thanks, Judson. Members of the public, please identify yourselves.
I'm Margaret Dunlap with Metro.
Thank you.
Parnell Emanuel, ABHR.
Thank you.
Ms. Lee,
Rice students, this includes you too. Please identify yourselves.
Natalie Diaz,
Thank you.
Rice student.
Yewan Lee, Rice student.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a little confusing, our procedure. We have two separate meetings to deal with, so I apologize for, we have to go through this twice officially, so that it may seem a little odd, but there's a reason for it. Okay. Again, now, do we have any questions from the public? Betsy, you want to sign up? No comments from the public. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the December 8th, 2021 meeting. May I have a motion, please? Second, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, we turn to Shannon Daniels to approve invoices.
Okay, thank you. On page 5, we have the invoices that have been collected for this period, mainly for December services, invoices that we received in January. For the district, there's reimbursements of just over $94,000, primarily for the staff that the district charges the TIRZ for the management of these projects. We have UDA contracts and work orders to the tune of $209,000. Primarily, these are professional services by the engineers and project managers for the Memorial Park Land Bridge project. I would note that in December, where we had an early December meeting, which we had not received invoices, but we had authorizations to pay $300,000. We sent checks in that period for just over $300,000 for $304,000, primarily for the same professional services that you see here. For our construction payments, the contract with Raytech, we have for this period $178,455. As for finishing up the Aspire and Fairdale on Post Oak Boulevard. And Tellefson, we have a pay application to just over 1.2 million for the construction that is ongoing on the Memorial Park Land Bridge and Prairie. A grand total of just over $1.68 million for invoices before you today that need approving. Pages 6 and 7 give a little bit more detail about the services and the professional services. Are there questions about any of these invoices that are presented to you as we request your approval to pay?
I have a quick question. I didn't realize that, I didn't understand. When you presented the rate check invoice, what are they finishing or what are they doing?
They're finishing the sidewalk in front of Fairdale down there by the McNair property, and then right here in front of Aspire.
Okay. Shannon, in the board, you authorized 300,000. Shannon, is the 304 any way acknowledged in the 303,947?
No,
In other words, I would ask you not only to approve the invoices that we are asking you to approve today, the 303,947, but the 4,957 that is over the 300,000. I think that we probably need to at least acknowledge, if not approve that as well. You see what I'm talking about, Mr.
In
Chairman?
fact,
or ratify our
Yeah,
4,000.
we authorized 300.
Yeah.
Let's know that. Let's ratify the
303.
49. Yeah, you can either do the increment or the whole number and then the new payment.
Okay, I would suggest that we've already authorized 300, so why don't we make it authorizing the excess 394708 as a part of that, as well as the new 1,383,000 for the total of 1,687,000
Plus 4.
Thank you.
However, that needs to be stated. Okay, are there any other questions before we move on?
We do need a motion to approve.
That's one of that. Any other questions before? In that case, do we have a motion to approve both the additional amount that we went over the 300 as well as the totals?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, Shannon, we're still with you on the NWDE report, please.
Okay, thank you. On page 8, you see the summary here. The top half, we look at 41% for professional services with a goal of 24 and 25% with a goal of 17. That's historically or inception to date. And the bottom half of this summary is just this fiscal year to date. For this fiscal year, we're at 67% for professional services that are DBE and SBE and 32% for construction. The next few pages kind of give a little bit more detail about where those dollars and which professional consultants they've been spent with, and just a graphical depiction of the percentage. And then page 12 gives a further breakdown for professional services, how that was allocated among groups.
Okay.
Are there questions or concerns?
I think all we have to do is acknowledge the receipt.
Yeah, but we don't have to have a motion. So no questions, and if not, then we'll move to the next item, which is our project update.
Ask Steve Don give a quick review. And Andrew
What happened
has,
to Andrew?
Andrew
I
has
see
made it
Andrew.
down, but
in jury.
Well, what, so you put,
we got him hung and.
so now you just get to relax and make Steve do the work. That's awesome.
Seems that way.
I've seen that way.
Andrew, for the sake of official recording, I'm going to say, he said that humorous.
Delegate.
Okay. All right. We take it off. Andrew always starts with this one, and I asked him why the other day, and he said, "This is the prize. This is what we're actually aiming to do." And so we start out with this is what we want to achieve: the top of the mounds, the tunnels, and the South Prairie all planted as natural prairie, and that's the finished view rendering. Still can't get that to work. All right. Thank you. This is where we are today. We're a little bit sort of looking quite stark out there, but actually a lot of work has gone in. We've got our tunnels done, almost ready. We'll talk about taking vehicles through those tunnels shortly. Right now, we've brought an awful lot of dirt up, and it's looking like dirt. In the coming months, you'll see the seeding right up the South Prairie there is coming right up over the mound. So in 2, 3, 4 months' time, we're going to see that green band coming all the way over the top. So it is looking stark today, but we're nearly getting to the point where this is much more greened up. Okay. Thank you. We start most of our presentations talking about budget when we talk to standards and subcommittee. No different here. We're targeting a $70.4 million budget. We have since the get-go on this. Our statement from those who are managing and looking after this is we're still achieving that 17.4 million. We are down to $650,000 of owner contingency. That is 5% of the outstanding expenditure. That's not a bad position to be in, but we are watching this contingency a lot more carefully, perhaps in terms of the nice to have opportunities than we were before. So we're holding on to it as much as possible. The upcoming milestones, the SLT is behind us. We opened the new alignment to the SLT. That was a big moment for us. We did that just after Thanksgiving. The head walls and retaining walls, we'll look at some pictures in a moment or two, but that is again a big moment that we finish that structure completely, and that will happen this week. We will wrap that up by Friday. Some big moments coming up. On February 5, we have a public event. Members of the public are going to be invited to come and walk through the tunnels. There'll be information, there'll be food trucks, concessions, and this is a moment to get some engagement for NPC with potential park users and existing park users. The big one for us is the ribbon cutting and opening of the eastbound lanes. That will happen on Friday, March 4th. That's a 10 a.m. event. The mayor will cut the ribbon. Once the dignitaries are out the way, the vehicles will be diverted through, and at that moment, the east lanes will be opened through the new alignment permanently. John, you're making arrangements for board members to meet up.
The board, I think, I really want to encourage all of you to attend the ribbon cutting, and for that matter, attend. It's kind of the public session, a week from now. But if you will, there will be some parking on site, but we're going to make arrangements to be able to get you from here, from this building, to the park and back on March 4th. So if you'll, we'll be contacting you directly and see how you want to give you the directions and then decide how you get there.
Morning or afternoon?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
That's the March date.
That's correct.
Thanks.
Both of them. February is from 10 to 2.
10 to 3.
10 to 3, you corrected me earlier.
And the March 4 is pretty much locked down. The mayor is locked down. Obviously, if we get a lot of adverse weather condition between now and then, it could change, but generally that's what we're targeting. We have a little bit of float in that. A month after we open the eastbound lanes, we'll do a little bit of work to finish some pavement, and then the westbound traffic will come through in the other direction. At that moment, the existing Memorial Drive alignment there's today will be shut down and demolished, and traffic will be permanently through the new alignment. At the intersection with Memorial Loop, which is the west side of the project, for those who are familiar, the northbound Memorial Loop is currently one-way traffic. We are converting that to two-way. It's going to help traffic flow for numerous events as well, like golf and such like. That conversion will happen at about the end of April. We're still on target for a project completion at the end of October. If we have average rainfall from now through that time period, we will achieve it. If we have weather like we had in 2021, it's at risk. So we're in the hands of the gods in that sense. But right now we're reporting end of October completion.
So end of October.
All construction is finished.
It's substantial completion. We'll take the fences down around the perimeter, around the prairie. We'll open all the trails to the public. So that is the moment where we will occupy the 100 acres that makes up this project. Yes.
So when we're meeting with friends, and it will be open in October, you're underwriting those beds.
Steve, that includes landscaping, lighting.
Yeah.
Things like that.
It's all the trails, all the lighting, it's all the amenities on top of the mound. Just to clarify, all the cover crop seeding will be in throughout the entire 100 acres of this project. A lot of the prairie seeding will happen because we've got to wait till the cover crop to fully take, then we go back and do prairie seed. That will happen in 2023, but we will have a green space over the entire 100 acres at that point.
Will the planting on top of the tunnels, is that going to be native grasses, or is that going to be something more rigorous and something that could even be, is that going to be turfed, or is that going to be?
It's
seeded?
both, but in the center of the mounds, it's turfed and it's suitable for events, and people can go up and you can have evening events on the West Mount because we'll have lighting up there. There'll be exercise classes or whatever. So in the center of it, it's regular turf. And then around that, we've got more shrubbery.
So that will actually be 100% covered day one.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So very quickly, just to stay on this one, Delia, this is a rendered view of the portal into the tunnels and coming out of the tunnels. And you can see on that, I'm very deliberately saying this, the trees are at full growth. That's probably 10, 20 years growth. The shrubs are in, it's looking beautiful. Next one.
That's what they say now.
This is kind of what we're going to see on opening day. It's going to be pretty stark. We don't have irrigation up on top of the mounds yet. We're just finishing putting the dirt up there. It's obvious that this is the case, but we're sort of managing expectations here. When that ribbon is cut, it doesn't look like that finished rendering. It will be just a little bit bald up there. But
when will the north side, the right-hand side of this look like the left-hand side? When will the soil dirt be in place?
certainly by I'm plucking it out the June, July time, John, I'd say. June, July, because as soon as we open eastbound traffic, we have a way of getting trucks around. We can start moving dirt, and the minute we put the traffic in the westbound tunnels, we're completely open to push that dirt.
And
Right on.
where's the dirt coming from?
A lot of it is already there on the mound that we got from the Eastern Glades. It's sitting on the north side, and you'll see, not really showing it today on other ones, we've got some little tracks that take us into the South Prairie to bring some of that dirt up over the top still. And that'll be our first move. The minute Memorial Drive, as is today, closes down, that's when we'll drag all that dirt over the other side and start managing. So,
And that comes from the south side has to go through the intersection?
no, go over the top.
Really?
Oh yeah, we're going over the top with it. So we're just waiting for that moment
Yeah, I'm
where we can
curious.
close and push dirt. But a
I'll
lot
let
of
you
it is,
stand
yeah,
inside and see if it will hold.
believe me, these tunnels will help a lot. Yeah, that's not a danger.
At this point, lay on to right, Steve.
Steve, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Just on that subject, I mean, of course, there might be somebody that's real crazy and tries to drive a car or something over it and hold up to
Oh, absolutely.
something like that.
Yeah, it's
or-
completely trafficable. Yeah, absolutely.
So if they're running big dump trucks.
Yeah. The minimum coverage on top of the tunnels is 4 feet, and then at other parts of the tunnel mounds up to about 8-10 feet. But it's all designed for the 10 feet. So you've got 6 feet of saturated dirt in places, which is way more than a vehicle. So you can take a fire truck on top of it. Yeah. This is just it's a drone view that we got late December. What was interesting about this to show is just seeing the trails starting to get cut in and brought up over the mounds. So it's kind of starting to form a little bit more. This is the parking lot that's actually finished. Just showing this because a lot of work's gone on with trails, and you can see those meandering around there. Go through some of these quickly. This one's interesting because this is right at the west end. So when we do the eastbound lane switch, this temporary asphalt road here will close down, and we'll move the cones over, and the traffic coming up here will just immediately go down the tunnels. it's not a massive change for drivers. The big change, we keep saying, is actually going through a tunnel. It's not a huge change of traffic movement, but of course, people are going to go through tunnels it's a pretty rare event for Estonians to go through a tunnel. We mitigate that by, our tunnels are huge. It's not like going through the Hudson where it's quite claustrophobic. This is a much bigger profile. So we're not envisaging a reaction. We think people go through and honk horns and slow down and things like that, but we're not seeing a huge reaction. There will be an awful lot of communication that goes out a week or two before this event. But again, hopefully we'll have camera coverage, we'll have police on hand, we'll have the contractors flagman on hand. We'll be there to manage any issues in the first week or so, but we're not envisaging this as a difficult event.
So when traffic is ready to go westbound, simply what you're going to be doing over that month, what you're getting ready, is connecting the west end tunnel there with that intersection.
Exactly, coming across this way. Yeah.
Comes up to westbound.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. And that's why they've got the 4-week lag between eastbound and westbound. I think everybody who's been involved in listening to this, the head walls at the end of the tunnels, at the portals, has been very problematic for us. We've had battles with the contractors. We've had a lot of back and forth, typical construction stuff, arguably. I think the subcontractor who's been doing this, Tricon, at the end of the day, regardless of those battles, has done a really tremendous job. This is a complex piece of engineering. All these ribs you're seeing on the side of these head walls are covering up steel that stitches together all the panels. The tiara that goes across, that cast in place concrete element, that's to hold back the dirt that will mound up eventually and put the guardrails on. And it's been a very difficult piece of engineering. This is about to get all covered up, so we wanted just to bring everybody to see this before it does get covered up forever. This is the crew, one of the crews on top doing that tiara. It has been a very complex piece of construction. It looks simple enough, but there's a lot of metal formwork and complex reinforcement bar. And these crews have done amazing, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day for the last few months. And
beautiful curves.
Yeah.
Did Nelson Birdwell's design that, or is that something that?
They designed the form and the profile. Obviously, the engineering was done by the precast.
It looks great.
I think it looks awesome, and yeah,
The engineers had to figure out how, along with the contractor, the architects.
It was re-engineered early on.
Yeah.
And Steve is not exaggerating the degree of stress that caused.
Oh, yeah.
All parts, as you recall.
yeah. No, I've still got the bruises, but I think one of the things we're quite proud of, and we're going to do this at a future standards meeting, maybe for a future board meeting. We've visited the Presidio land bridges in California. We've been to the land bridges in Tulsa, up in Oklahoma there. And we're going to compare the form and the view of this portal experience for drivers. And we think we've nailed it. We think we are way better. And tip our hat to Nelson Birdwalls who've really driven that design-wise. And we're going to put that comparison up just so people can see it next meeting, because I think we've done a great job.
What sort of maintenance do you think? I don't know what I'm asking, obviously, but what sort of maintenance will you have on something like this?
So on the inside of the tunnel, the big maintenance will be cleaning, power washing it down, replacing the graffiti coating, things like that. We've had a lot of back and forth with Public Works. They have bought into the fact that they probably need to do a power wash minimum once every 3 years. We may have to push, or the park will probably push and cajole them to do it. That's the big maintenance. There's guardrails inside the tunnel that will get hit now and again. That's regular maintenance that they will come in and do. All the maintenance is Public Works at this point. It's certainly not responsibility of Uptown. It's not responsibility of the park even, because this is a highway that's maintained by Public Works.
So that structurally is supposed to last.
Perpetuity.
Good.
It's designed, if there's a major box truck fire or something in there, it may require some maintenance. It would have to go in and be inspected as any, if you had that happen underneath an overpass to a freeway, engineers would have to go in and inspect and maybe fix some rebar and put some panels in, etc. So we're no different in that sense. That's another one on the bet. It'll last forever. All the pavement work through the tunnels is now done. We have sidewalks in these tunnels because the curvature of the tunnel means we have dead space at the sides to allow the trucks to go through. We've created sidewalks. These are not for pedestrians. This is going to be closed off for pedestrian use. These will be refuges in the event of an emergency. And we need to monitor carefully how the public react to this. And we have a suspicion people will try and walk through and try and cycle through. And it's just something we have to react to if that happens. But we're not encouraging it. We're actively discouraging it through landscape means, but we'll see how that plays
You're
out.
saying no cycling through there?
Through on the highway, on the lanes you can go, but on the sidewalks,
Oh.
yeah.
So you will monitor that, there'll be cameras and somebody, who monitors the cameras?
So the cameras are in place. I mean, Homeland Security have it. That's more for a sort of after the event review. The city through HPD will have access to these cameras to watch it. But at the end of the day, I think during the first 6 months of this being operationally, I think kind of we collectively, people working on the project, the contractor, we're going to be out there just watching what goes on. And if we have to change any fencing design to discourage, we'll be able to do it.
At least years ago, I was interviewing a guy, consultant for safety and security, etc. He said, the wonderful thing about cameras is they tell you whether or not the perpetrator is represented.
It's about it.
Well, I mean, that's if you're trying to identify the person. I'm just thinking at least you might be able to put the sequence of how something happened.
And that's going to be historic looking at
Yeah.
it. Nobody's sitting there monitoring and sending
Yeah.
police.
No, we'll do live monitoring, but it'll be more informal through the contractor, through us on site. MPC will have people there watching, and we'll just during that first 6 months we'll gauge the misuse of the space.
Taking graffiti to office, will be a continuous.
Yeah.
And anything that's in public right of way will be hit.
Yeah. A lot of trails are going in at the moment, just making the point, these trails are difficult. You don't drive a concrete truck up when it's going through a prairie. So this is all pumped long distances. The contractors are doing a pretty good job of getting all these trails in time. A lot of work going on with that. Message about tree demolition. We've taken down a lot of trees. We've just taken down more trees on the north side. We are utilizing those trees completely. We're either chipping and mulching and getting a reuse out of them, or in this case, we're going to use them for putting at the bottom of the drainage channel, the big channel that runs through there and forming the structure for that channel. So all the trees that we're taking down, we are utilizing, and then we're planting back an awful lot more than we're taking down. So from a sustainability storyline, I think we're in a strong position to talk about that. And to that point, this is some of the trees getting planted now. So if you remember that drone view, and we talked about planting right at the south side of the prairie, this is where we are now. This is at the South Prairie. The first cover crop seeding you're seeing in here, we do 2 cover crop seeding. So a lot of those little patchiness will disappear with the second hydro seed that goes in. And as I said, trees going in right now. Just another view of it. It's a little bit patchy. And again, this is just the first cover crop. So the second one will go in. You will see some sort of ball patches, to use that term again, in there. That's to get vehicle access in for maintenance reasons. So that's deliberate. And we'll see that as we receive from here. That's it from pictures. Just to round up where we are, we're still on budget at the 70.4 million, which we still hold a level of confidence with. Project schedule, the end of October. Again, with reasonable average weather, we'll hit that. We're confident, but it is weather dependent. On the MWDVE compliance, we had a 20% goal on the construction side going into this project, and we're hitting 38.2%. That's our estimate for completion. That is largely driven by the precast concrete folks that did the arches and the head walls, Tricon. They're an MBE firm. They've been a big part of this project. So we've been fortunate in that sense, but Telesom have also worked hard with us to achieve that goal, and credit to them. that's the detail. I'm absolutely not going to read through that, but that's the backup of what our projection is to achieve the 38.2%. Any questions?
Thank you, Steve.
Nicely
It was a
done.
quick run through.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no further items, and I think we've covered everything, then we will recess the Uptown Development Authority meeting. We will reconvene a TIRZ meeting, and we will adjourn both the TIRZ meeting and the Uptown Development Authority and the reinvestment zone number 16. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
Well done. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay.